Okay, the audio check. From the stream. Thanks. Thanks. Yo, yo, yo. What is up, guys? Hope everybody's doing well. Can you hear me? Hear me loud and clear? Let me know in the chat, guys. Hope everybody's doing well. We are back with another live stream here on YouTube. Hope everybody has been well. As you can see, lights are out, but we're all back here in the stream all together. Good to see you all again. Hope everybody is doing well. Everybody's performing well. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's enjoying life, enjoying the markets, enjoying the daily market updates, enjoying the Discord server. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear, if everything is working okay. Is the background music good? Okay, you guys can hear me loud and clear. That's fantastic. That's the most important part. Yeah, let's get Luke on the moderator. Let me just check, guys, if it's working good. Give me 1 sec. I can see. Now it should be working better, guys, and there shouldn't be a delay on the audio as well. This should work better. Let's see if this now works better. No. No, now it's working better. Yeah, okay, now it works, guys. Now it works. Whoop, 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 whoop. Let's go. Thanks, guys, for helping me in the chat. Always appreciate the support and the love. I put off the sleepy elevator music. Guys, I need a DJ, man. We need some kind of DJ who is going to be running the music of the stream, because I'm not that good at it. Let me just manage the MetaTrader, and then somebody else can manage the music. So if anybody wants to be the DJ of the stream at some point in time, I think it's time, guys, to get a DJ on the stream. Also, a good idea for Tuesday, or for Thursday. Today is bloody Tuesday. For Thursday, I'm going to invite some guys onto the stream, guys, so that you can also have a chat with some others. We're going to do like a Zoom meeting, and then I'm going to connect it to the screen or to the stream, so that you guys can be talking to the people who are going to be here on stream, or whatever you want to call it, whatever. La 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 la. Kind of music invite next stream. Yes, Mitchell. If you come on stream, guys, I think it's time to get Mitchell on the stream very, very soon. But regardless, okay, it's time, guys. Today we have a nice presentation for you all. I'm going to be going over how I trade over $1 million US in funded accounts, giving you guys a little bit of insights into how I have been performing this past month / let's say the past 4 weeks approximately or so. Giving you guys a unique opportunity to ask questions and ask pretty much whatever you want to know about how I trade the markets, my view on the markets, and how I've been performing in the last 4 weeks. For myself, it's pretty much been the best 4 weeks of the year. I'll be sharing also a what's it called, an FX Blue in the very near future, so that you guys can also see my my kind of like my verified track record as well. Let me just quickly check, because I have actually done something really, really cool this month, and believe it or not, this month we are up around, I want to make sure that I'm saying it in the right way, and promise I'm gonna get into the presentation in a second. Just want to give everybody an opportunity to tune in. I don't know how this bloody FX Blue works on mobile phone, man. Bloody hell. Okay, whatever. We'll check it later. What we're going to do now is we're just going to dive into this presentation, okay, that I prepared for you all today. I hope everybody's going to enjoy. So before we dive in, make sure to leave a like. I I'm up this month 9%, guys. 9%. And I'll share some stuff on that very, very soon. Fabio, you look tanned. Thanks, Giovanni. I appreciate it. I have kind of like been in the sun quite a lot. I went wakeboarding on Sunday. For anybody who wants to know, I went wakeboarding. So that, I guess that did my skin a little bit well. Finally, I'm getting rid of the white look. Now, before we dive in, guys, where is everybody tuning in from? As you can see, the chat is filled with moderators. We are back, and today is going to be an amazing session. So let me know where everybody's tuning in from today before I dive into this amazing presentation breaking down how we trade over $1 million in funded capital. Okay, so let me know where you are tuning in from, and then we're going to start, guys. And then after the presentation, don't worry, we're going to dive into the markets. We're going to see where the major dollar pairs are going to be heading next. And of course, gold. Yeah, I know it sounds familiar. That is the intro for the daily market outlook. But let me see. Where is everybody tuning in from? USA, Singapore, Bulgaria, Nigeria, India, Turkey, Somalia, Rwanda, Philippines, Toronto, Dubai, South Africa. Wow, the chat is going wild. United Kingdom, India, Myanmar, Namibia. Wow. Rucker tuning in from Zealand. Zealand is a province in the Netherlands, guys, for anybody wondering. Istanbul, Nigeria, India, Pakistan, Uzbekistan even. Okay, guys, Ethiopia, Ghana, Somalia. Wow, we have the energy back, guys. We are back. Yeah, you can see the sun has done me well. I'm feeling good, and it is time to jump in. Okay, so before we dive in, guys, don't forget to leave a like on the stream, and we are going to be tuning in. Okay, so first of all, how we trade $1 million in funded accounts by the Trading Academy, exclusively brought to you guys. Okay, so what does this presentation actually even cover? That is obviously what everybody's interested in, right? So what I'm going to be talking about today is how I navigated macro-driven sentiment shifts within the Forex market. I'm going to be talking about the strategy behind managing $1 million in prop firm capital, because obviously you guys know it, and I've been talking about it many, many times. Kind of like the way that we manage these accounts is that we have $100,000 accounts. Sometimes we have a $200,000 account in there as well, but we really don't have like $500,000 or $600,000 or $700,000 accounts. No, we have all these small individual accounts. So Fabio, how do you manage trading 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 different bloody accounts? Believe me, sometimes I don't know how I do it as well. Next to the fact that I create YouTube videos, that I'm active inside Discord every single day, and I try to even sometimes create a bloody vlog, which takes up a lot of time and effort. And I try and maintain a healthy lifestyle by going for runs and going to the gym. So I know, busy life, but I'm not complaining. I'm actually enjoying it day by day. Now, that's what's going to be explained. And I'm going to talk about the real trades that I executed in response to all of these market dynamics. Okay, so I'm going to give you a real breakdown of the past month within the Forex market. And I want you all to learn from this video. Because literally by understanding what I'm explaining today, you will be able to trade using this kind of like strategy, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so as you can see, the results are real. The results are here. The screenshots are here. You can see we literally have the withdrawals from all the accounts. It is not a joke managing these kind of accounts. It is real balances and real withdrawals. As you can see over here. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, and let me just get it resized a bit again. Yeah, okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna dive in. So first of all of these funded accounts, guys, you can see here we have the Trading Pit, we have Alpha Capital, we have FDMO. I haven't even put funding pips on here, or the other prop firms as well, but obviously these are kind of like the main firms that we're trading with. As you can see over here, we mainly use swing accounts. For example, with Alpha Capital, we use swing accounts. These screenshots, I just took them today, so you can see, for example, with Alpha Capital, free $100,000 accounts. Here with FDMO, $100,000, $100,000, $100,000, $100,000. Trading Pit, $100,000. So these are all the kind of different prop firms that we use. Maybe in the meantime, Rucker can drop the link to the Trading Pit in the chat if he's here, yeah, get that in. Okay, so this is kind of like the way that we trade using all these individual different funded accounts. Now, how do we trade them, guys? So what we do is we pretty much split up the different accounts into different biases, okay? Because obviously if you have, let's say, $1.4 million, or even if you yourself have, let's say, $300,000 with, let's say, $100,000 in individual accounts. So let's say you have free $100,000 accounts. You don't want to be trading the exact same trades on each account. Okay, so let's say you sitting at home now, you have $200,000 in funding, you have two $100,000 accounts. You don't want to be trading the exact same bias on these two accounts. Why? Because you're just going to be going all risk into one certain bias, which in my opinion is never very, very smart. What you want to be doing also with investing, with whatever, with trading, you always want to be diversifying risk, because we are risk managers. We are not people who are gambling in the market, going all in on one bias, which you can just see as a black or a red in the casino. No, we split the risk. We hedge the risk into different biases, and this is what makes us successful traders. Okay, so what we do is, let's say we have 1.5 million. That's an easy number to calculate with. What we do is that we put $500,000 into USD buys. And this is actually what I've been doing in the last and recent times with the entire team. We put $500,000 into USD buys. We put $500,000, for example, into Swiss franc sells, and we put $500,000 into the risk on bias. This way we kind of like split the risk between certain biases. And this can also just be done on a smaller scale. Okay, so let's say you have $300,000 in funding. You use a $100,000 account on section 1, a $100,000 account on section 2, and a $100,000 account on section 3. And you can do the exact same thing even if you have free $10,000 accounts or free $50,000 accounts, or if you have two $100,000 accounts or two $50,000 accounts. What do? You can just put $50,000 into bias number 1, $50,000 into bias number 2. But at least you are going to be hedged to a certain extent, right? And what you can then do is, for example, if you see a EURUSD sell, you don't go into both accounts on the EURUSD sell. No, you just take it only on account number 1. And then on account number 2, you're only going to be looking for example, the Swiss franc sell. Or you're going to be only looking for a risk on buy, for example. Okay, if there's any questions, guys, at any time, make sure to ask them, because then we can dive into your questions. All right, now moving on. Here you can see, for example, how we trade the risk on bias. So when I talk about risk on, and I've been about this a lot in recent videos here, especially on the live stream as well, we look at risk on. What do we look at? We look at the New Zealand dollar, we look at the Australian dollar, we look at the Canadian dollar, and at the moment we've also been looking at the US dollar. But more specifically, the easier way to look at it is that you're just simply selling the Japanese yen and you're selling the Swiss franc. All right, and why we've been doing this, I'm going to dive into that later in this kind of like webinar, but I want you to understand this is how you can trade them. And this is literally kind of like live positions that I'm still in at the moment. So I've been in these positions since the 30th of April, for example, so for around 2 weeks now. And you can see here, USDJPY 250 pips, USD Swiss 170 pips, NZD Swiss 70 pips, CAD Yen 200 pips. So these are the kind of positions that we take based on just simply having a bias, which is based on fundamentals, all right? So this is how we, for example, trade $500,000, and then we just focus it on the risk on bias, okay? Then we have, for example, Swiss franc sells. This is a different bias that we, for example, use. Here you can see what we do: Aussie Swiss buy, CAD Swiss buy, Swiss yen sell, Euro Swiss buy, GBP Swiss buy, NZD Swiss buy, USD Swiss buy. So we just go all in on the, for example, the Swiss franc sell bias. Obviously, it's all calculated with certain risk parameters, but this is how, again, we do the capital diversification. And why, for example, I took this bias, because these positions, for example, on this account, I closed literally, I think it was yesterday, yesterday, for around 2.2K in profit was this account, is where it ended. But we took those sells on the Swiss franc. And by doing that, again, you're kind of like hedging your overall risk and putting your money into a certain bias. Then we have, for example, section 3, which is the dollar buys. Now, the dollar buys are, for example, the ones that I've been talking about every single day in the live stream, where we talk about EURUSD sells, GBPUSD sells, USD Swiss buys, USD yen buys. Now, for example, what I do then on the dollar buys is I take a EURUSD sell and a GBPUSD sell, but I don't take, for example, the USD Swiss buy, because the USD Swiss buy is already in the Swiss sell bias, for example. All right, so then I take here the GU and the EU, as those were very clear sells in my opinion, following, remember, the daily fractal structure. And we can go into the technicals in a second when we're back on the charts, but I think you guys also know why I took these. Most of you, I hope, watch the daily market outlooks. Let me know in the comment section if you do. Do you guys, who does not actually watch the daily market outlook? I hope everybody does, but if you don't, let me know as well, because then you should definitely do that, because I've been talking about these EURUSD sells and GU sells for quite some time. Now, obviously, that's then a third bias. So these are kind of like the different biases that we've been using for the past month, and how we kind of like position ourselves within the market. Now, the 3rd of April, guys, because I'm going to talk about kind of like the performance of around the last 1 month, 1.5 months. Now, it all started on the 3rd of April, where I hit a stop loss on AUD/USD and NZD/USD. I think a lot of you remember the stop loss that I hit on these positions. These were kind of like swing positions that I took around here. Remember, I was following kind of like this liquidation wick, which kind of liquidated the lows, and I was looking for the market to kind of like reverse and continue with the overall trend. Also from this overall order block, which we had over here. Again, we'll go into the charts later. I was looking for the AUD/USD continuation, but then on the 3rd of April, we saw AUD/USD sell off massively, and we saw NZD/USD as well, which I was positioned along, also following the overall trend after this liquidation wick over here. We also saw that NZD/USD hit my stop loss as well. So this is kind of like the position that I was in back on the 3rd of April, and why it was all because of this day. A lot of you should remember this day. If you don't remember this day, definitely go back and look at the 3rd of April back on YouTube. Just look it up, 3rd of April, tariff announcement Trump, and then you will see that there was something massive happening within the markets. And that is the 3rd of April, guys. And the 3rd of April, again, if we go and look at what happened, we can see that Trump announced those tariffs. So what happened on the 3rd of April was that if we literally go to AUD/CHF, and let's just go to the 3rd of April over here. You can see 3rd of April, big sell-off of what? 517 pips, around a drop of 10%. That's AUD Swiss. Let's go to AUD Japanese yen. What do we see? We see, boom, a sell-off of 770 pips. Let's go to CAD Swiss. Boom, sell-off of 265 pips. NZDJPY, sell-off of what? 615 pips. NZCHF, sell-off of what? 400 pips. So you can see how, I'm not going to say it's easy, but how kind of like simple it is to understand why the market dropped on the 3rd of April. It's because the bias shifted from, for example, being risk on or whatever it was, into a risk off sentiment, where money flows into these safe haven assets, being the Swiss franc, being the Japanese yen, and being, for example, gold, right? That's the exact reason why gold on the 3rd of April, remember, boom, flew to the absolute moon. You can see here, like initially there was like a sharp drop, grabbing some liquidity, but ever since it's been rallying back up higher into new all-time highs, right? So this is what happened on the 3rd of April. So my stop loss actually got hit on NZD/USD and AUD/USD on the 3rd of April. And from that moment onwards, I stayed out of the market. Didn't get into anything anymore because I didn't want to be positioned, and it was very uncertain. Remember, everybody was talking about a recession. Crypto started dumping back down to 70K. S&P was dumping to, what was it, like a 20% retracement as well. There was a lot of uncertainty within the markets, and everybody was shitting their pants. Now, what we then did is that we saw, okay, the risk of sentiment. So Swiss goes up, Japanese yen goes up, gold goes up, the euro went up because obviously there was a lot of uncertainty surrounding the dollar. So nobody had their money anymore in those dollars. Everybody was putting their money into the second largest currency, being the euro at the time. That's why the EURUSD was also on the rise, for example. Now, on the 9th of April, I did a message on Discord saying risk on is gaining momentum. So again, if you were here on the live stream, I think it was around 2 weeks ago or so, you should, or not 2 weeks ago, it should have been literally kind of like around the 9th of April. Fucking hell, lagging. For me, it's working, guys. Is it lagging for everyone? Hello, guys. Should be working. For me, it's working. Is it working for everybody else as well? Hello, guys. It's working well. Okay, good. For me, it's working. No lag. No. So is it working or not? So no lag, or is it working? Okay, we're fine. It's fine. Okay, good, guys. So, okay, glad to hear. So on the 9th of April within Discord, in the free section, literally where I just post daily market updates pretty much every single day, what I mentioned there was that risk on was gaining momentum. Here you can see the 9th of April. So some short-term relief for the stock market, crypto, AUD, NZD, and CAD. So you can see that I'm mentioning risk on is Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, and for example, the Canadian dollar. And more specifically, what happened on the 9th of April was that President Trump authorizes a 90-day pause on tariffs, guys. Okay? So this is why it's extremely important to be informed about the fundamentals and understand that the fundamentals is what drives the markets. And now what you're going to see here is literally 9 of April, this massive, juicy, fat candle, okay? I'm going to show you this big, fat, juicy, blah, blah, blah. Here, the 9th of April. You can see here. So the 9th of April, we get this rocket, this green, I'm thinking of the right word to call it, but I think most of you know what I'm going to say. This green rocket ship, let's put it that way, PG-8. So we have this massive green rocket ship in towards the upside. And this is all based on what? On one bloody tweet, right? Or one bloody announcement. President Trump authorizes a 90-day pause on tariffs. So this already for me was kind of like the indication, okay, risk on is now potentially going to gain momentum. We can see strength from the Australian dollar, the New Zealand dollar, and the Canadian dollar. So this was the moment that I started to get into those into those buys on the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar. So on that day, more specifically, you can see here, let's say you see the news announcement, right? So you don't want to get kind of like in the pump itself, or you can, and let's say you just buy or start buying over here, somewhere here, when the market kind of like starts to retrace, kind of gets this level of support and resistance. What you just can do is you can just place a very wide stop loss. And you can understand that if it is true, and again, everything in the market is just always kind of like overrated and we always see like these heavy overreactions. You can kind of get into these swing positions on these pairs and expect that a potential rebound is going to start. And you can see that from that moment onwards, the market starts to recover slowly and not with as much momentum in towards the downside. But this is obviously kind of the initial reaction to those tariffs. And then as soon as kind of like the talk comes back of, okay, it's not as bad as it seems to be. And I've been speaking about this, especially with my mentorship students every single week, is that you can then follow or start following the overall momentum and get in on those potential buys based on the fundamentals. Because look, at that point in time, what you start seeing is that an overall bullish order flow starts to be created, right? An overall bullish order flow starts to be created, where a lot of traders, purely based on technicals, you would say, for example, that this here is a break of structure in towards the downside. This here is your supply zone. And then you draw in your Fibonacci, whatever, like this, and you say 0.5 fib. So I want to start selling in towards the downside. But you need to understand that if it is true that the risk on sentiment will return to the market and that everybody will start looking, or Trump is looking to start establishing these deals, it makes so much more sense that this entire kind of like news push down will just be recovered in the exact same movement up. And that is why I started getting into those buys. And I've been in those buys with that specific risk on buys. And I'm still in these buys. For example, you can see these positions are taken on the 30th of April. And why they're up like 250, 200 pips. Even on dollar yen, I haven't added the screenshot in here, but I'm like up 600 pips on that position because I'm just selling the Japanese yen, selling the Swiss franc. All right. So that's how you can then take these positions. And then even with the overall fractal strategy that I talk about every single day on YouTube, you could have placed your stop loss underneath the lows and you could start targeting just like these descending highs over here, right? Then if you look at this, you can see now with your stop loss underneath the area of demand, this is what, like a 1 to 2.5. You can see that following the order flow, again, it's pushing now again. And I'm still looking for this to continue up higher. And now here, demand. Right, this is now the demand order flow. Now again, what do we have? A new area of demand. Now this is your demand order flow. And now I expect this just to continue pushing up higher to eventually take out those descending highs. And you can see Aussie Swiss is still lagging behind Aussie Yen. Aussie Yen has already recovered that entire move and is now taking out these free highs over here. And I've talked about this, I think, already, like for those who remember on many live streams, I've been talking about like this is like a fake area of supply, because it didn't take out these descending highs. So Aussie Yen, I'm 99% sure it's going to just push up even higher and take out those highs. That's why Aussie Swiss, for example, also in my opinion still has potential. NZD Swiss also still has potential. like NZD Swiss as well, you can see here, beautiful area of demand. Most traders are kind of looking for like a support and resistance sell in towards the downside, but you need to understand that the market now is just purely driven by those fundamentals, and by having that fundamental bias, you can understand, okay, I want to trade in line with the fractals, in line with the order flow, and the order flow is now bullish, so it makes sense to look for those longs and not for kind of like that Fibonacci sell like this, where the average trader is looking at, we have a 618, we have the bearish bloody candle, I'm going to sell this bearish candle over here, stop loss above the highs, because now, today or tomorrow, these people are all going to get nuked. Sorry for my language, guys. They're all going to get nuked. So that's how you can kind of like look at it, and how personally I have been trading these markets myself, all right? So this is what you see on the 9th of April. Again, announced that in the Discord, so I hope some of you were able to capitalize on that. Now, this is, for example, an account that I took with the Swiss short bias. Now you can see already, because I started this account literally a week ago, and that's this these positions over here, these Swiss short positions. You can see it's just fully Swiss short, because I believe, again, and I talked about this on the last live stream, Swiss inflation is nearly at zero. They're going to lower interest rates even more. Low interest rates mean that they're going to sell. Is that they're going to sell the currency, because if there's a low interest rate related to a certain currency, what do people do with the currency? They don't put their money into it, because people want to put, or the banks, the institutions, they want to put their money where interest rates are high. So now, for example, at the moment, interest rates are very high in the United States, interest rates are very low in Switzerland. So that's why, additionally, I was looking for Swiss sells, because interest rates were low in Switzerland, inflation is low in Switzerland, and obviously, the risk on bias is taking precedence. We're seeing trade deals being established with China. We're seeing trade deals established with the UK. That means sell the Swiss franc, sell the Japanese yen. Because the entire move in towards the downside that happened was just purely based off what? Based off this stuff. So anything in relation to the good stuff about this, being trade deals, that then causes the entire market then to push up higher, okay? So you can see here, this is the one of the 500,000 that we have allocated to, for example, the Swiss short bias. And then you can see here, this is an account that I've been trading since October of last year, $15,000 in the past, like 7 months, 8 months, which is around a 15% return, already outperforming the S&P and pretty much everything else. So yeah, that's again proof that we actually know what we're talking about, and I hope that kind of like informs you to understand how we trade. Are there any questions, guys? Any questions at all? Because this is kind of like what I wanted to explain about the bias, and now we're going to go onto the charts and give you some more examples. Are there any questions about what we're talking about? Because for me, the most important for you guys to understand is that you understand how to really find kind of like a combination and a middle ground between trading in line with the fundamentals and with the technicals. And I hope that everybody can leave a like on the stream. That would be highly appreciated. As always, 230 likes, really appreciate it. If we can get to like 400 likes, that would be amazing. Yeah, 400 likes would really be amazing, guys. Okay, so let's go into the questions. How often do you trade pullbacks? Really depends, CJ. Mostly you want to be trading in line with the overall momentum, but now, for example, you're obviously trading a pullback, as for example here on NZD-CHF. So yeah, I mean, it just really depends on a lot of factors, being the fundamentals, but also being kind of like the technicals and where you are positioned within the market. What is your strategy for passing prop firms? Dave, using a higher risk strategies. Obviously, you want to be using around 2.5% risk with a 1 to 2 risk to reward at least. While taking multiple trades, how do you manage trades? That's a very broad question, Nisha. I would need to know a little bit more specifically what you want to know about that. What about for day traders? How can we manage multiple capital? Literally in the same way as I just explained here. You just need to have kind of like a split bias. How to read this fundamentals? Be inside Discord. We share a lot of value over there on the fundamental side of things. So yeah, be inside Discord. USD buys and Swiss sells both part of the risk on theme, so they're positively correlated in this market condition, or can I understand that you're taking different trades on different accounts? No, because the dollar buys at the moment and Swiss sells both part of the risk on theme. So in terms of risk on, dollar is risk on, Swiss is Swiss sell is also risk on. I'm not entirely sure what you mean. Which trade you took? USD Swiss, fundamentals news, Bloomberg. How did you overcome the fear of getting into the trade? Taking trades every single day. Yeah, that's all I can say. Just being in the markets as much as possible. How many accounts have you blown in your life? I really don't know how many I've blown in my life. Would also have to depend. But yeah, I think like I've only blown like really like maybe 1 or 2 accounts, which were like $1,000 accounts in the beginning when I was following signals like many years ago. USD buys are risk on. What exactly are risk off pairs? So for everybody who wants to know, our off is literally very simply said the Swiss franc, the Japanese yen, and gold. And in current market conditions, it was euro, but mainly just focus on these 3. Traditionally, the US dollar would also be in here, but with the current uncertainty surrounding Trump, the US dollar is kind of like more risk on pair at the moment. That's how you can treat it in these current market conditions. Sometimes I get confused on how to understand the daily outlooks. Can you explain how to understand these? I don't understand where you get confused, Anas. Like, what confuses you? How old are you? I'm 25. For anybody wanting to know that. What is risk on, risk off in your definition? Risk on is when people put their money into certain currencies or assets or whatever when they feel confident within a market and are happy to take risk. So this is literally just crypto, the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, the Canadian dollar. How do you deal with spread and stop loss? I don't have very small stops, so I'm not really that interested in spreads, to be honest. How long have you been trading? Since 2019. Let's have a look at the markets, guys. So at the moment, GU is pushing up higher. So that should mean that the dollar news was bad for the dollar. EURUSD pushing up higher, obviously looking to take out this high over here. So should still push up a little bit higher before any further shorts at all. Dollar yen kind of like in a range at the moment. Not very interesting in my personal opinion. Also not really looking at it at all. Just a little bit too consolidative. I was interested in some more buys, but ideally we would kind of like take out either this low over here or this low over here before really looking for like a high probability long again. So I'm kind of like favoring a move like this before looking for more longs. Fabio, are you in any trades at the moment? Yes, that is what I shared in the presentation. So I'm still in those risk on pairs. So I'm still in CAD Swiss, NZD Swiss, Aussie yen, NZD yen, CAD yen, buys, all of them on buys. I still also have dollar yen buys as well, and I also have USD Swiss buys as well. So I'm still in this USD Swiss swing, which we've been talking about, guys, again already since the lows over here on the live stream. Real OGs from the live stream will know that I'm still in these USD Swiss buys, which is up around 240 pips at the moment. So bless. Let me see. Why do you guys use swing account on Alpha Capital? Why not Alpha Pro 10? It looks the same. Only difference is swing account has leverage 30 and it's like $50 more expensive. To be honest, we've had these for a very long time. Not really. To be honest, yeah. I don't even look into these other accounts with Alpha as we're already max funded there. So, but I would have to look into it for you if you want. Rocker says, look at Aussie CAD and NZD CAD. Yeah, both pumping beautifully. Yeah, very nice. Some gold. How would you scale USD Swiss? I'll have a look at that in a second. Yeah, gold, I'm still looking for it to swipe some more lows. With gold, I would preferably still want to see kind of like, yeah, some more lows swept. At the moment, the 4-hour fractal is still bearish. So you can see here, supply in control, and now again, supply in control since this morning. So I'm preferably looking for one more short down lower on gold. I'm kind of like looking for, yeah, just pretty much these lows to get taken out and for gold to tap into this daily area of demand over here. So some more shorts on gold would be nice to see. New is bad for US dollar. So how long do you think it will affect the market? It's just pretty much going to be an initial reaction, because the real move on the dollar is going to be coming from what Powell says on Thursday. So Powell is speaking on Thursday. Here we have the calendar, guys. So you can see here that Powell will be speaking here on Thursday, 2:40 Central Eastern Time. And these are the real numbers that you have to keep an eye on. So core PPI. Reason being is because core PPI will decide what happens to the CPI. So CPI is consumer inflation, PPI is producer inflation. Now, if producer inflation goes up, what does it mean? It gets dragged on or passed on to the consumer. So that's why PPI is actually more important than CPI itself, in my opinion. And then we'll have to look at what Powell is going to say, because Powell will be commenting on both the producer inflation and the consumer inflation. And then depending on what he says in relation to interest rates, that is going to move the dollar for real. So I'm not expecting too much from the current movement. That's why you're also not really seeing any movement on gold. Yeah, you're kind of like seeing EURUSD pump, but also, I mean, it's not that significant. Like we're literally at the same level where we were yesterday. So yeah, nothing too fancy. The real move on the dollar will come on Thursday, so make sure to keep an eye on that. And obviously the dollar index here is inside an area of supply, so it's not strange that we're pulling back. So yeah, perfectly fine. Do you enter on the 1 to the 5 minute? No, definitely not, guys. I do not advise entering on the 1 or the 5 minute time frame. Definitely, in my opinion, very, very overrated. I personally trade the 4 hour and the daily, and that works best for myself. Don't forget to leave a like on the stream, guys. I really, really appreciate it. Somebody's asking, how do we know when it's a risk on or a risk off market? That really just, again, requires you to read about what's happening. So obviously with current market conditions, you need to go to Bloomberg, you need to read what is being said, you need to definitely keep an eye on what Trump is saying, and what is happening in relationship to, let me just quickly see, US bonds rises, soft inflation, US inflation comes in soft and first. Yeah, we're going to have to see what happens. But you need to keep an eye on trade deals. You need to be keeping an eye on what China says. And then it's not that hard to actually really understand what happens. Fabio, have you ever blown a prop account? To be honest, not the live accounts, but your challenges, of course. Very happy with the 300 likes. There was one stream of yours where you explained the interest rates and effect on the currency. It's one of the live streams. You can just check it back. Let's have a quick look at silver. Silver, what is silver doing? Silver is consolidating here on the daily. I wouldn't really want to be in this at the moment anymore. I was interested in those longs at the time over here, but now it's just really developed into one big range. So don't waste your time on this, is my personal opinion. Yeah. I'll be more interested. So now EURUSD is going for that high. So now with Euro, I would keep an eye to see how we react to this high over here. Is this liquidity, and is it going to cause like some manipulation to push down lower, or are we just going to spike through it and then push up higher into 4 hour supply and then on daily supply, and then from there maybe look for some more shorts? So perfectly fine. Let's keep an eye on how we react here, and then obviously depending on how we react, that will really come down to the change of character. So we need to keep an eye if we get a change of character or not. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, overall, still interested in some further shorts on euro and pound dollar. But obviously, the dollar index is kind of like due for a pullback. So I don't think it's a good time to get into EURUSD shorts, or let's say into dollar longs in general. But what you kind of like now want to see is wait for this sell for the buy to get tapped into, wait for like a deeper retracement, maybe in towards tomorrow, maybe see like a spike into the demand zone on Thursday when Powell speaks, and then look for the continuation up, or wait for it to push down a little bit lower. But you kind of like want to see the 4-hour change of character happen at those lower levels, right? So inside this demand zone, that's where you want to kind of like get into those longs again. So yeah, that's kind of like what I'll be waiting for. And then euro will be inside the supply. Pound dollar is obviously already in supply. So now at these levels, you want to see the bearish confirmation come in. And that's now what you kind of like, want to wait for. So as simple as that. And then last of all, for everybody wondering, the euro swing position. The euro swing position, that's a good one, guys. Good question. Dennis is asking, does the TTA10 code still work? Yes, it does, Dennis. Yeah, it still does. So for anybody who's looking to purchase an account with a trading pit, use TTA10. And if it doesn't work, send me a message on Discord through opening a ticket. But overall, Euro USD, for anybody wondering, because we took obviously that short, which brought in around, I think it was a $14,000 trade. Euro USD was not that complicated, to be very honest. Overall, obviously, we were looking for some dollar longs from the lows after sweeping. First of all, the overall low of the accumulation range. So what I did is I started here on the weekly time frame. On the dollar index, I see, we have a range. Underneath a range is liquidity. We sweep the liquidity, so I'm looking for some buys on the dollar. Then I go into Euro USD. On Euro USD, what do I see? I see that we have pushed in towards the monthly supply. So on the monthly time frame, what do we have? We have a supply zone over here. We tap into that supply, we grab liquidity above this little bump in the road over here. On the weekly time frame, it's a little bit more clear. You can kind of see like push down, pull back, push down, pull back, push down, pull back, push down, pull back. And every single time you kind of like come above a pullback, you see somewhat of a reaction. Above a pullback, somewhat of a reaction. So obviously I was looking for a short with us tapping into that monthly area of supply. Now, you have a higher time frame area of supply, but for a reversal, you need two things. So for a reversal, so I'll just call it a rev. You need number one, you need number two. So number one, I just mentioned, you need sup and lick. So very simple said, it's supply and liquidity. And then number two, you need a change of character. So how do we see that change of character? Change of character comes from, or comes with what? It comes, and let me just turn off the indicator. It comes with the low break of individual candlesticks. So here we have a high break. Here we have a high break. We come above that liquidity high. Now this here is your fractal low. So what happens here? This is the first fractal low break. Then this here is your buy before the sell, which caused that fractal low to break. So therefore, we now have the supply slash liquidity, and we have the tap into supply. So at that point in time, I'm then just happy to start selling. I sell here, stop loss well above the highs, targeting here the first swing position, just a very simple like 1 to 1.2 risk to reward, kind of like just targeting this next area of demand over here. And then you drop down into the lower time frame. And then what you can do is you can look at the fractals themselves. And then here on the lower time frame, what you can see is, and it became even more clear on the 1 hour actually, I remember at the time, is that here what you had was like a let me just get it a little bit more clean. Here you have a supply zone on the, let me make it a little bit bigger for you guys. Here you have a supply zone on the 1 hour time frame. Okay, so this is like your buy before the sell, something like this. Then what happens, you have a liquidity high over here. We take out the liquidity, right? And we tap into the supply. However, this internal trend remained bullish at the time until here we saw the change of character low break. So that is kind of like where you have the initial confirmation to get into a sell. Stop loss well above the highs because you kind of like want to swing it. And again, you need to understand that there's a lot of volatility in these market conditions. You don't want to be trading with a very small stop loss. And then obviously you just swing it down lower like this. So this is pretty much how I took it. I took it with an even wider stop loss, if I'm very honest. But this is kind of like how you can take it, if that makes sense. And then also based on the 4 hour, like here you have the 4 hour buy before the sell, and you could also have taken it pretty much just like this, again with a nice and wide stop loss. And you can obviously kind of like close it down for 1 to 3 risk to reward, something like this. So yeah, that's why we took EURUSD, and then obviously it's in line with the fundamental aspects of the trading as well, with the fact that we're looking for those dollar buys, because the dollar index was at that lower time frame area of the liquidity, or excuse me, the lower time frame area was at that weekly liquidity point of the overall area of accumulation. Because here we have the overall accumulation range, we come underneath the accumulation range. What do we see on the dollar index? We see on the dollar index that after sweeping the range low, you get liquidity, or you get the fractal high break, fractal high break, fractal high break. So obviously you're looking for longs, right? As simple as that. So for the dollar, only looking for a pullback, or for a pullback for down lower once we break the current fractal low. But keep in mind that at the moment, like a sell-off on the dollar index is not very strange, because we're trading in premium, and there's still kind of like a retracement possible, at least in towards the 0.5, which is this demand zone, right? So be a little bit cautious. Obviously, at any point in time, can a dollar push up higher, but be a little bit cautious with selling the dollar. Why do you use such wide stops? Because in the current market conditions, we're seeing a lot of manipulation across the board. Okay, so how low might NZD/USD go? Obviously, keep an eye on what? On the, and you can kind of actually see it over here. It tapped into this weekly sell before the buy. Interesting. Like, it can go lower as long as the daily fractal remains bearish. I kind of like had this arrow drawn in because I was looking at this imbalance, or this buy before the sell over here. Now, what you want to see if you're looking for shorts is obviously bearish confirmation. Are we going to get it? Not sure, but for now it's like push up, push down, push up, push down, push up. Like, it can just continue up higher. But if we, for example, break the current fractal low, bearish momentum comes in, then you could, for example, look for shorts once again. But until then, like, shorts are not really possible yet. So don't burn your hands on those shorts. Aussie dollar, I have low budget account, so how can I manage with this big of a stop loss? I would get like a funded account of like, or challenge for $10,000 or for $5,000, and then trade with like just mini lots, man. And swing it. You don't need the big lots to make a lot of money. AUD/USD is, from my opinion, not really ready for a sell. The fractals on the daily are still bullish. So that means that this is currently your fractal low. This is currently your fractal high. It's still positioned inside this demand zone. So for myself, Aussie dollar is not yet a sell. Only if the daily fractal were to break, then I would be more interested in like some deeper push. But it would need to break the dotted line first, and then I would look for a sell. But otherwise, until then, like, buys are still in control. So yeah, guys, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I think a very, very, very valuable session overall. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to be here, to pay attention. I hope everybody kind of like got a better insight into how we manage our prop from capital, our funded capital, and I hope that you learned a thing or two on how to manage this kind of capital. If you have any questions, as always, make sure to join the Discord server. The link is in the description of this video. Also, if you want to learn how to trade this strategy with myself and the TTA team, we do daily live sessions for our mentorship students. So you can join through the link in the description of this video. You can apply there through filling in the form. And again, thanks everyone for tuning in. Wish you all a fantastic and amazing day. Here from sunny Amsterdam. As you can see, the blinds and the lights are off because it's a bloody sauna in here. But I want to thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to leave a like on the stream. Really, really appreciate you taking the time to be here. And last of all, gold, I already discussed it. Gold, still looking for some further sells. Euro GBP, not looking good, very consolidative. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Wish you all a fantastic and amazing day. See you here on Thursday on the live stream at 2:30 Central Eastern Time. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we go live, guys. Thanks for showing up. And as always, have an amazing day, guys. Appreciate you all. Thanks.